These people. These people amaze me.
What's good, beautiful people? Welcome back to my channel. I am Kenya right now, and today we are going to address racism in Saudi Arabia. So this is definitely going to be a story time video. I remember reading a comment from one of my Saudi videos when I was in Saudi, and the woman said, and I believe I'm quoting her correctly, "Sister, why would you want to move to that racist country?" And at the time, true enough, I was having some difficulties in Saudi. I had mad issues with the company that I worked for. And I also had some issues with the work culture. However, the people that I encountered there always seemed very pleasant, very kind, very respectful. And so at that time, I really didn't understand why she assumed Saudi Arabia was such a racist country. I mean, the majority of the people there were Arab. So where was there room for racism? And then this happened. Okay, so I have 3 or 4 short stories. The first one was my very first, maybe like within the first 2 weeks, the first week or so of being in Saudi Arabia. And at this time I was in Dammam. So remember, they first brought me to Dammam, and then they pulled an old switcheroo and sent me over to Abha. But at the time when I was in Dammam and staying in this dormitory-like accommodation, there were several Muslim women that stayed there, and one was at any rate, she was either Sudanese, Canadian, or something else in Canadian, and she was Muslim. And she did also speak Arabic. We went grocery shopping together, and we were in the produce section, and there was this older guy, like maybe 60, 70 years old, and he dropped something. He said something in Arabic to us. Of course, I didn't respond. I had no idea what he was talking about, but she did, and she looked at him and kind of paused, and then she picked up the thing and gave it to him, and he carried on about his business, walked away, and I continued talking. And then she said, "I think that he thought that we were servants." I was like, "What? Why would you say that?" Again, not knowing much about the Saudi culture. She was like, "I think that he think that we were servants because, basically because of our skin color." And I was like, "No, he's just old. He probably couldn't." He was probably scared to bend over and not get back up if he bent over to pick that thing up. You know what I mean? It's just like, it doesn't happen often in America, but every now and then you'll get a random older person, elderly person that'll tell you, "Hey, do this, do that," and you just do it because they're older and you're being respectful and, you're just helping them out. Well, okay, let's fast forward, let's say 2 months later, when I'm traveling more now. So I'm going to Riyadh and Jeddah and visiting people. This is around the time where I was like traveling every single weekend just to get out of Abha so I could have a social life. And what was the first scenario? I am on a plane and in Saudi, they do have a lot of servants. It's very common for them to have servants. It's not, you don't have to be super rich. It's a common thing there. And so a lot of the servants are people from African countries or Filipino women. I think those are the 2 groups that pretty much cover the majority of the servants or the nannies that they have. And so they use these people are women, by the way. They use these women to like carry the heavy luggage for them. They're always carrying the mother's child, and they're always handling that. Either they're pushing the stroller or carrying the child or addressing the child's behavior, that sort of thing. And so on the plane, they're also the ones, if it's not the men, like their husbands or brother or family member, they're also the ones who are putting up the luggage. Me, myself, I'm a solo traveling woman from America. I'm used to handling things on my own. So I'm putting my luggage up above my seat on the airplane, and I take a seat. And there's a young Saudi woman sitting next to me, maybe in her 20s. It's me, and then this other guy who's sitting on the aisle. I'm waiting for the plane to start, for things to, things to take off. And so I close my eyes because I'm tired. I get a poke from the young Saudi woman sitting next to me. And so I jump up because I'm like, I was kind of starting to doze off. And I jump up because I'm like, oh, what's going on? I don't know anybody on this plane. Why would anybody be nudging me to wake up? So I jump up thinking that maybe a flight attendant needed something from me. And so I jump up like, oh, huh? What? Huh? And the woman says, close. She points up to the top and says, close. And I look up and I see the vent, the ventilator. And I just reach up automatically and I close it. And I sit back and I think, oh, that was weird. And then it comes to me like, did this woman just wake me up out of my sleep to tell me to close a vent that she couldn't raise her arm and close herself? So now I'm sitting there, now in my mind, I can't go back to sleep because I'm tripping. I'm like, did this woman really disturb my peace? Did this woman elbow me? Did this woman elbow me to wake me up? She don't know me. You disturb me to wake me up to close a vent that's right above your head? And that is when my mind was blown. That is when I was like, oh, okay, I see what y'all do here. So the next time it happened, at the airport, you know how they have those little transporters that take you from the airport to the plane? And they tend to get, packed fairly quickly. So I was sitting down and people were coming on the bus. And the immediate, like as soon as you get on the transporter, the seats were filled in that area. I think there was maybe one in the back, if that, but the seats were filled when you immediately get on. And then there was this woman just talking in Arabic as soon as she gets on, and she's bringing her mother or somebody older with her, and she's just talking. And there's a woman that's sitting right next to me. She does not address that woman. She does not address the woman across the aisle. She comes straight for me and mutters something to me in Arabic, basically saying, get up. Now listen, I have all the respect in the world for older people. I have, no reason to impose on them. But when she told me to get up, I just looked at her like, you want me to get up. Why you didn't ask her? So I pretend like I have no idea what she's talking about, which I didn't know what she was saying. But again, contextual clues, I concluded that she wanted me to get up, which I wasn't going to do. So by now, I know what the deal is. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, no, I'm not going to get up for you because you think that I am less than you. You think that I'm a servant. You think that I'm below you. So I don't matter. I'm just supposed to get up and give up the seat for this person. And she didn't ask not another single person. Even the woman next to me. They were both looking because I looked at her and I just looked straight ahead. But the woman next to me said something to her, and again, I'm assuming that she said, would you like me to get up? Would you like her to sit here? She said, no, don't bother. So you would rather your old lady stand rather than inconvenience this woman sitting next to me, but you're coming straight for me as you get on this transporter to tell me to get up? Boo-boo. What? So that, this was like the second time that I had a clear example of, I don't know what you want to call it, classism, racism, stupidity, whatever you want to call it, but this was the second time. I'm on a plane yet again, and all of these issues seem to happen while I'm in transportation, while I'm flying on a plane. But anyway, I'm on a plane again. And in Saudi, a lot of times, men and women do not intermingle in public. I would hear from another teacher at school, she's from Romania, that sometimes when she would take a flight and she would already be sitting down, and then men would come in and they would have to sit next to her and they would refuse, and the flight attendant would ask her to leave, and she's like, no, I'm not leaving, this is my seat, I'm going to sit right here, he's the one with the problem. And so this sometimes happens, that they don't want to sit next to women because it's against their culture and their religion. So anyway, fast forward, I'm actually sitting next to an older man. Actually, it was me, an empty space, and then the older man. And he's maybe like in his 60s or so. And so now the plane is landing. This is a different flight. The plane is landing. So I get up and I take my bag from the overhead compartment. And I'm putting my backpack on my bag, and he gets my attention and motions to me, to get his bag too. And I look at him like, excuse me? And I think I actually said, excuse me. I said, huh? And I looked to my left. No, that's not my left. I looked to my right at a row full of men. Actually, the plane was majority men. And I looked to the right of a row full of men, and I said, ask them. And I turned around and I kept walking. And I could tell, like, the guys who I pointed at, they kind of chuckled. But it's like, honey, you don't know me. You don't know me. I am not your servant. I am not your slave. Get it together. In what world would a man ask a woman to do heavy lifting for him to get his luggage? Like, really? I couldn't believe it. I was astounded yet again. But I knew better this time. After that first time, when that girl had me, I was like, these men, like, really? How do you just... And first of all, for those people who are servants, what in the world makes you think just because they're one person's servant, they're everybody's servant? Like, that whole scenario tripped me out so much. But like I said, I knew better. So I felt, this is silly to say this in this scenario, but I felt very empowered of being from where I'm from and being who I am. And it just kind of irritated me that there are probably so many other people and immigrants and foreigners out there who just accept the fact that they are the lower life people. And they are supposed to be the servants of the world. I was so taken aback by that, and that it was so common. I mean, I experienced it several times. It was upsetting. And so by this time, I'm like, okay, I'm starting to see what people mean by that. And I think it was either this experience or the prior experience that made me go to a Facebook group, and be like, do y'all get this experience too here? And another woman who commented was like, well, yeah, basically slavery ended in Saudi Arabia just 50 years ago. So that makes sense, but at the same time, it is not about to go down right here. The last story I have to share is actually when I was in Madinah Saleh on my tour. This was like the last thing I did right before I left Saudi Arabia. Saudis have this belief or mindset that they are up here and Americans are probably here, and Americans or Westerners are probably here, and then the rest of the people are like, okay. And so I did not witness this, but I heard about it happening at my job to other teachers who are like from Pakistan or from Syria, things like that. Like, they would get barked at and talked down to because of where they were from. Total BS, right? I ended up witnessing this for myself when I was on a tour in Madinah Saleh, which is a World Heritage Site in Saudi Arabia. It's a very beautiful place. And, our tour guide was showing us around. He was a really cool, nice, down-to-earth guy. And he was showing us a particular site that we were all like, it was like some type of hole in the ground type thing, and we were all looking at it. And then there was this other group of men maybe it was like 8 or 10 of them, and they were all wearing like these long shirts, long sleeve shirts that came to their, like right above their knee, and pants, and it was like an all one color thing, but the men were wearing different colors, but each outfit was like all one color. And at first we were over here looking at one thing, and they were, you know, across from us looking at something else. And one of the guys came over to look at what we were looking at. No big deal, it happens all the time. This is a tourist spot, there are tourists here. We're all looking at the same thing. And then I guess the group of them started to come over. Me, I didn't really notice the group come over because I'm looking at whatever it is that he was talking about. Suddenly, I hear him barking in Arabic. And I turn around and I look and I'm like, hey, what's going on? It's like nobody here but us chickens. It's like there wasn't anyone else there for there to be some type of like disruption or some type of drama. So I look around and he's like yelling at them and doing all these hand motions. And his cousin had joined the tour with us. It was a majority of just mainly foreigners, like Western foreigners. But his cousin had just got married, so him and his wife had joined us. And then his cousin starts barking at them like, yeah, get out of here, or whatever he says. And then they all as a group scurry away and go away. As soon as he finished yelling at them, he says, okay, group, come on, it's time to go. What? If we were finished here, why are you yelling and barking at them and being so rude and telling them to go away? And it just, like, really, people, why do we gotta be like that? Why? What makes you think that they don't deserve to look at this little hole in the ground as much as we do? Anyway, I'm not even going to give any more commentary because anybody with common sense and a good heart knows that ain't right. And I'll leave you to draw your own conclusions about whether Saudi is racist or not, whether they're classes or not, or what any of those scenarios meant. I'm going to leave that up to y'all. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up because I really am trying to keep these videos short, but I just talk too much. Remember to like this video, share the video, subscribe. That's a wrap. Deuces.